I was a scratch agency. So the way I started that whole thing, I was single at the time. I had no liabilities. I was just
Mm,
full of energy and like, I want to make this happen, right?
yeah.
So here's what I used to do. First of all, I was in the middle of all you know how dealerships all kind of get together and there's like an auto mall area.
Yes.
My office, yeah, so my office was right there, nestled in there, right? So what I did was I would go to a donut shop and I would buy like 10 dozens of donuts, right? And I would figure out when these guys and gals had their meetings, right? And I would get in with the GM and the managers because I was in the car business. Remember, I told you that I was in the car business, so I
Yeah.
understand the car game. So I would just give these guys and gals donuts. I would leave stuff, and within a couple of weeks, man, they would just drive clients over to my office. Right? They
Oh,
would just
that's
drive
awesome.
them. Yeah,
It's
drive
the
them
last
over.
thing to
Come.
close their deal, right? They're like, oh yeah.
Exactly. So I would just write them up. I had non-standard carriers and preferred carriers. Some of them were preferred. They just, they were paying too much. They wanted a second opinion. So I'm like, yeah, Travelers was kicking butt at the time. So I would just rewrite them or whatever. And so that's how I got in. And once I got in like that for a little while, the homeowners started coming in, right? It's like, hey man, I really
Mm.
like this guy. He did my auto. Can you do my home? I'm like, of course I can do your home. I'd love to do your home. Let me do your home. Home. Then rentals started coming in. Then umbrellas started coming in. Our earthquakes started coming in. And then eventually we parlayed into commercial. And then that started to come in. I started doing some bops. So that's kind of how I kind of crawled my way up. But I would just show up and be consistent with that strategy, and it worked. The second thing I did was I would buy net quote leads at the time. They were like, I don't know, $6, something very inexpensive. And so my strategy with that was because I was single, I would literally work those leads like 4 in the morning. I would work them really early in the morning and I would just sit there and crank out quotes and just send them left and right. I was a one-man show. I had no CSRs, no assistants, nothing. And so that was my second stream of pipeline. These people started coming out of the woodworks. I'm like, yeah, I'm interested. And I would quote them. And so with those two modalities, I started that agency and started producing business. It's yeah,
Super cool.
yeah.
I
And
love it, man.
I didn't even have enough money to, I didn't have much at all, man. I just had faith
Right.
and hard work. And
You know, at the
so,
begin. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
But at the beginning, there's the hustle, right? And you're all filled with, for lack of a better say, piss and vinegar, right? Like you're ready to freaking do it. And you don't realize, like, I think we all start and we're just hustling. We're like, I'll grind. And you don't realize that there is a point where the burnout happens and you can't, it's not sustainable, right?